Welcome to Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails Day 26. I am Tim Niddle of Distilled Living, and I'm going to do 2 cocktails tonight. We had a lot of different ideas just kind of tossing around, and then we started thinking about, well, what haven't we done yet? We haven't worked much with pairings. We wound up with one cocktail that's actually designed as a pairing. Hey, the watch party.
Okay, it's not actually.
Nope. Anyway, something made noise. One is designed, actually, we kept it as a pairing. The other one, the pairing wound up getting into the cocktail, so it's all put together. These are actually both Hillary's recipes, which is kind of exciting because I didn't have to come up with them. But they sound really, really awesome. So the first one is, she made us a beautiful apple crisp right here. You can see that, right? And so we were looking at pairing flavors with that because we had some apples that looked really, really good and we were wanting to eat those. So the thing about building a traditional cocktail with this kind of pairing is this has got a lot of sweet already, so we wanted to really showcase the bourbon a little bit more forward and bring down the other characteristics but still create a bridge of flavors. Now, apple is a really weird flavor to try to pair with bourbon. Now I take it back, I have had one bourbon with a strong apple flavor. The Woodford Reserve Masters Collection 1838 style sweet corn, or white corn, whatever it was called, that actually had a strong green apple note, which is really kind of interesting. But apple is not common in bourbon. But what is going to be a little more common is going to be some of the brownie flavor that we're getting, the crisp topping, and the spices that we're going to put in the baking spices. That's what we're going to try to pair against. That's why we went with Knob Creek, a little bit more woody, which should reflect back some of those flavors and should pair with the spices really well, especially those holiday spices. So, I've got my glass chilling off to the side there, and I'm going to start with my shaker with a little bit of hard ice. And we're going to build this as an old-fashioned variant. So I'm going to start with 2 dashes of Angostura, and remember, we always build smallest to largest, because if we screw up, if we have the bourbon in first and then screw something up, then we have to discard the bourbon to start over. So the next most easy thing to screw up in this is going to be the spices. So I'm using a little bit of ground clove and a little bit of ground cinnamon, and I just want the tiniest amount, because we really want the bourbon to be at the 4, and because these are really, really strong spices. So that's it. Just enough that I can see it on there, sitting on the ice. And the other reason we're going to build the smaller ingredients first is because that's the cinnamon that I wanted. It prevents, once you add the liquid over the top, it is going to ensure that all of those get integrated with the largest liquid there. So, now I'm going to use some apple juice. Apples with apples should work together really well, but I just want a tiny little bit because it's really going to be bourbon forward. So I'm going to use 1/4 of an ounce, and that is it. And that is what 1/4 of an ounce of apple juice looks like. Now this is a really clarified apple juice, unlike like a fresh squeeze or anything like that. So in theory, I could stir this and it would integrate together, but there's a couple reasons I want to shake it instead. One is I want the texture that I'm going to get. I'm not going to go with the silky mouthfeel that you get from stirring. I want a little bit more of an effervescent mouthfeel. I'm actually going to enhance that a little bit later on. And because I really want to make sure that the spices are integrated as best as possible. They're actually, they don't dissolve. They're just going to be sitting in the liquid, not even forming a solution. So I want to put a lot of energy into getting that right. And also because traditionally when you're working with juice, you shake. That's how that works. Now, I'll get that later. 2 ounces of my Knob Creek. And now this is ready for shaking. And this doesn't take a whole lot of shaking action. Okay, that's it. What was it, 10 seconds or so? Now I want to I want to have a little bit more effervescent character in this. That's just what I was looking for. So I'm going to add another 1/4 ounce of some seltzer that we made up. So this is just a sparkling water. Goes right on top. And then I'm going to double strain this, reaching over everything to get there, into my coupe. So if there's any bigger pieces of spices, bigger pieces of ice, they're not going to go into the glass. I'm going to lose a little bit of the fizz, that's why I added some extra fizz for that texture in there. Alright. Now for garnish. We're going to do some sort of a fun garnish on this because this is kind of a plain looking cocktail. So I cut up some slices of apple. So you see that here? And I have only thought this through a little bit, so we'll see how this actually comes together. I am going to use my really awesome horseshoe pick. And I'm just going to slide it through about 2/3, 3/4 of the way up these apple slices in this fan pattern. Can't actually see if I'm getting all of them. Oh, yes I am. Okay, good. So they are on there like that. Now this is really going to want to be an aromatic accent as well. So just the tiniest little touch of clove. Just on the top of these. Because I want that part to be sticking out and not cause the spices to dissolve down into the drink. Okay. Actually, I think I got a little too much spice on that, so I'm going to turn this up and knock some of the spices off the top, and then that's going to sit on the edge of the glass just like that. So there we have our bourbon cocktail pairing with the apple crisp. Doesn't that look delicious? Let's see how it tastes.
So definitely tell us how it tastes, Tim. We went off the same concept as the high proof bourbons with this one.
It's nice and dry, which is what we were going for this. If you are used to a sweet cocktail, give yourself another 1/4 ounce, maybe a 1/2 ounce of apple juice or a 1/4 ounce of simple, because it is very much just the slightest sweetening on that bourbon. But the apple and spice flavors, just the aromatics, come out very intensely, and it's going to be a beautiful pairing. I think this brings enough sweet personally. If you need a sweeter cocktail, just be aware that it's going to present very, very dry and slightly astringent, because that's one of those mouthfeels that you're going to get out of apples. So that's good. Alright, we'll set that aside. I also think that looks really cool. Okay, so now, number 2, which I don't even remember how we got started on what the pairing was or anything like that, but it went a completely different direction once Hillary decided to sort of integrate everything into one glass.
We were going to do 2 different crumbles, and then
that's right.
We originally thought we were going to do an apple crumble, and then we were going to do a blueberry crumble. And then it kind of just kept morphing and turned into what we're about to make.
Yes. So Hillary is really enamored by Rabbit Hole gin. Plus, it's got some good flavors that are going to work well with some blueberry flavors. Now, it is going to need some sweetening up. So this is big BIG building glass. I'm going to use a 1/2 ounce of simple. I'm just going to put that right down the glass. And then I'm going to use 2 ounces, because that's my standard cocktail pour size. Of my Rabbit Hole gin. And I'm going to give this a little bit of a stir, just to make sure that fully integrates. You could probably just like spin the glass around a little bit and make that work. Just being particular about it. Back to my seltzer. We'll go about 3/4 with this. So now we have basically gin soda, right? which is probably going to be pretty good just like that. Now, the inspiration with the Italian cream soda, but taking it into a dessert direction, Hillary went out and supporting our local businesses. This came from Spots Gelato. This is just the vanilla sorbet. Sorry, this is the vanilla gelato. Right?
Yes, sorry, are you asking me
She
a
bought
question?
Just double checking.
Sorry, I'm trying to
And-
monitor other things at the same time.
So I get for asking your question. So I'm going to try to get a scoop out of this. I'm going to shape it a little bit. I don't have the exact right tools, but this is why these are crazy cocktails. So, trying to get it roughly into a ball shape. There we go. And then that is going to go on top like a float. Like a root beer float, except this is gin. Let's see. Now, I dropped it in a little more. You really want to gently put it in there because it does cause that effervescence to come up. But
It has that kind of Italian cream soda thing going on there.
it totally does. And look at how it's distributing into the drink there. That's awesome. So now we have basically some blueberry puree. So this was frozen blueberries that we thawed on the stove and cooked just a hair. A little bit of water added to that to make that work. I'm going to go ahead and actually put some blueberries on top. And then I'm going to put some extra juice because I really want to get that juice onto both the foam, there we go, and also down into the glass. Is that not
That's
gorgeous?
pretty.
Okay, last two steps. Hopefully I'm not going to overflow it when I do this. We shall see. Straw. That's how you're supposed to drink one of these. And this is going to be an okay match with blueberry. It's not going to be a perfect match with blueberry. So we're going to give it a bridge aromatic. This is not an ingredient that we put into the drink itself. This is purely about the experience in the nose. So I've got a beautiful little piece of mint here. I really need to grow some mint. I really just need a mint bush because we're really starting to get into these. And actually I'm going to take off the lower leaves. I'm actually not going to do anything with them, at least for this drink. And I'm getting beautiful aroma off this already. Give it a good slap there, and then I'm going to put this right into the, just like in a mint julep, you want it right against the straw, so you're getting the full aromatic character of that while you're drinking it. So that is a rabbit hole gin, blueberry float, cream soda kind of a deal.
We'll have an actual proper name and the recipes online for all of this later. I'm not sure if you need the apple crumble recipe. It's pretty simple,
Yep.
but we'll definitely have the recipes for the drinks.
Yes, all that online. And as always, we haven't decided what we're doing next week. So if you have any suggestions, anything you're working with at home that you want to see integrated into some fun, crazy cocktails, please let us know.
And we'll be back Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Recipes will go online after the event tonight, and we'll have a high resolution video on YouTube and I think Facebook after this. So I think that's it.
All right. Cheers. Good night.
Good night, everybody.